Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News, the show that may or may not be 5 minutes. Today in the news is the end of the previous generation upon us. Well, I've got some good news for PlayStation 5 users and not great news for PlayStation 4. The Horizon Forbidden West DLC Burning Shores will only be available on current-gen consoles. The reason is, sadly, what we've known for a while, that PS4, its technology really can't deliver gameplay and visual experiences of more modern games, especially in this case, the DLC. And this has been a thing that devs and games of this generation have had to deal with for a while, because trying to do graphics that can work on both is tough. And more game devs are just going to be like, screw it, and they're just going to go to PS5. And we're going to see more of that, and that does not bode well for PS4 owners. And the Burning Shores isn't the only DLC releasing solely for current-gen consoles either. Cyberpunk 2077's Phantom Liberty DLC will only be available on PS5 and Xbox Series XS. And I think this was probably a lesson learned after the release of Cyberpunk, which you saw the older console versions of the game not really performing well at all. And so I think from a dev perspective, it makes more sense to just be like, screw it. We're not going to worry about the older stuff. We're going to focus on what's current and go from there. The biggest problem, though, of course, is that it's not very consumer-friendly, as many more people have a PS4 or an older Xbox compared to the current gens. And we also know now that Insomniac's Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine will only be released on PS5. And now that the console shortage is finally coming to a close, PS5s are readily available, and so they assume this is a good reason for most players to transfer over. But it was going to happen eventually. It's interesting that it seems to be DLC-based this time around, but I guess as more and more games start to produce more and more content for these next-gen consoles, that, PS4 and old Xbox are just eventually going to have to go away. Or, as, in the case of most things, be jacked up in price and sold at some convention for way more than they're worth. But while I've got you here, I still want to talk about Horizon because I love those games, and I don't even care. According to the recent PlayStation blog, the cityscape ruins of LA and its surroundings are highly detailed and require a lot more processing power, as well as fast streaming technology to run properly, especially when the player is flying over the lands and can see a lot at once. And I know that's referring to the graphical limitations and why they're doing what they're doing, but also, I'm just kind of hyped for Aloy to be in LA. She's getting closer. The locations that are in the game right now that they want to show off are the Hollywood sign and Capitol Records and also Venice Beach, which I live very close to, and I'm just saying. Coincidence? Maybe. Or the beginning of a true romance? It's just coincidence. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the next-gen consoles and switching over, or Horizon. Honestly, I love to talk about Horizon, but, I'll talk about consoles too. In other news, it looks like Diablo 4 will not be making its way to Gamepass anytime soon. Rod Ferguson, the general manager of the Diablo franchise at Blizzard, took to Twitter on Monday to share the following. "It's awesome seeing the excitement around the Diablo 4 beta and our Wolfpack puppy. We've been getting some questions about D4 on Game Pass, and I want to let you know we have no plans for that. See you in Sanctuary during the beta early access weekend starting on March 17th. And while this is probably due to the lack of a release agreement between the two companies, maybe this has something to do with the overarching narrative of this entire thing, which is the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. And maybe it's some sort of publicity stunt, as in, hey, it's available to everyone. It's not just about Game Pass. We're not going to do that to you. Everyone has equal share in getting Diablo. But I don't think I'd go that far. And yet, Microsoft is hard at work trying to sweeten the acquisition approval by showing competition examples and offering 10-year contracts. Microsoft's dealing these puppies out like they're on Oprah. Nintendo, you get a 10-year contract. Nvidia, you get a 10-year contract. And just last week, Microsoft ran a full-page ad in a UK newspaper promoting the acquisition. And this whole episode just kind of feels like a reminder of where we're at in the industry right now, where the console wars is still happening, and everyone's trying to push you to the next big console, and all the old stuff, screw it. We're moving on. We're getting to new stuff, and in that new stuff, potentially there are less and less big developers making games, and it's just, I don't know. I would love to know what you think, because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, how did we even get here? I'd love to hear your theories. Anyway, that's it for me. See y'all tomorrow for another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News.